After moving to Columbus, I visited a local tabletop games retailer that sells tabletop games, board games, card games, analog games in general. And I found myself in a conversation with one of the owners. In it, I expressed my renewed interest in tabletop games, to which they replied, "Well, if you like people, tabletop games are the way to go." And I laughed, of course, because who doesn't like people? My name is Scott Swearingen, and I am an assistant professor in the Department of Design at The Ohio State University. Before joining Ohio State, I had the privilege of working in the video game industry for many years at a bunch of different studios and on a variety of award-winning games and franchises, including Medal of Honor, Dead Space, The Simpsons, and The Sims. Now, despite the successes of these games, and believe me, they were really good games, there was something missing. And it wasn't until I made the transition out of the industry into academia when I began to explore and research what this something was. In 2019, the total global value of the video gaming market was over 151 billion US dollars. And it's in response to this oversaturated digital lifestyle in general that we see a resurgence of interest in all things analog. From the return of vinyl to the rise of popularity in your local farmers markets, to the shop local movement and the makers movement. And while games really aren't any different. In fact, the rate of growth of the PC video gaming market has been eclipsed by the rate of growth of the tabletop gaming market. But why? Could it be the value that we find in having face-to-face interactions with others? Or maybe the potential to engage in friendly competition with someone seated across from you at a table? Or maybe it's the table itself and its inclusive properties and nature. And therein lies the roots and the foundation of my research, taking the affordances of tabletop games and applying them to digital games. And through the lens of this digital analog hybrid, discovering and creating new modes of play and new ways to connect people. The first game that I worked on at Ohio State was called Physical Scroller, and it was created at the Advanced Computing Center for the Arts and Design over a 5-day period. This game uses a top-mounted depth sensor that registers and tracks the players within its field of view and projects a red ball onto the ground at their median position. The game then challenges players to navigate this red ball through a field of scrolling hazards. Now, in my mind, what made this game so successful were its physical and collaborative components. The next game, here, Wall-Mounted Level, was designed by myself and my collaborator, Professor Kyung-Lee Swearingen, and this game is projected onto a relief sculpture that was created and assembled by hand, and as the title would suggest, hung on a wall. And the gameplay is pretty straightforward. Players are tasked with navigating these blue characters through this maze filled with obstacles in pursuit of one another. But what really made this game stand out was that it took the physical and pushed it into high gear. Using a microcontroller, we connected players to opposite ends of a circuit. And because we are made of conductive stuff, whenever the players would touch, this circuit would be completed. And this completed circuit sends a message to the game to move those blue characters up and down ladders and in between floors. Here, we're showing the game at a game festival in Montreal, where one of the festival goers asked, "Where can we download this and play it at home?" To which I maybe a little overenthusiastically replied, "You can't. You can only play it in person with others." The game went on to win awards for innovation and social impact, and really validated and cemented my research trajectory into these digital analog games. Not long after returning from Montreal, we showed the game again, this time to a professor who was visiting from the College of Nursing. Her research population are children undergoing palliative care with life-limiting and life-threatening diseases and illnesses. And she explained to us that the physical interactions that these children tend to have is pretty much confined to the essential, meaning feeding, bathing, and changing clothes. So we asked ourselves, how might we pivot our design and reimagine what we're doing to include these children in physical collaborative play? Since this conversation, our team has grown and now includes students and faculty from design, nursing, and electrical engineering. And together, we've created our first prototype, which we are testing this year with families and children. And the goal is real simple. How can we bring the benefits of play, take the benefits of play, and bring them to a wider audience? So let's talk about these benefits for a moment. Play. In 1989, the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights stated very clearly that play is a fundamental right of every child, regardless of their ability, because of the social, emotional, and cognitive well-being and stimulation that it provides. Collaboration. Collaborative games have the power to strengthen personal relationships as they bind players together in group activities in pursuit of shared goals and objectives. Touch. The strongest sense at birth and the primary way that we make bonds with one another. In fact, lack of touch has been known to cause developmental delays in severely premature infants and children raised in institutional environments. Inclusion. Inclusion presents an opportunity to bring self-expression through play to a population that has not been addressed previously in a significant way. So, I'll ask you this. What other disconnected populations might we build bridges between through play? Bridges between the young and the old? A granddaughter and her aging grandmother, perhaps? Bridges between the privileged and the marginalized? Between the blind and those who see? Or maybe it's as simple as the isolated with others. Thank you.